All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to FabTech and making this your educational source. And I'd like to advise you that there's an app to get around FabTech if you didn't already know that. It's FabTech Events. You can find it in the App Store. And again, thank you for attending this conference. And you can view all different types of things through the app to be able to get around the show. And you'll see a bunch of other content and sessions from these shows a couple weeks after the show. And finally, there's a survey with you guys that you can do a survey on the different speeches. This helps us understand what types of things are important for you guys and the delivery of the speeches and whatnot. Today, I'll be speaking to you guys on AMRs and the AMR transformation, and how this is making an impact in our industry, and it's tailored a little bit towards the fabrication and metalworking space. So what is an AMR? An AMR is a mobile autonomous robot. It stands for autonomous mobile robot. And essentially these robots give you the flexibility to move things throughout your facility. Now, a lot of people have heard of AGVs, which have been in the market for a very long time, but they don't have the flexibility the way an AMR does. So the primary difference between like an AMR and an AGV is it gives you the ability to adjust its pathing on the fly. The way AMRs are able to do this is they're more of an autonomous vehicle. So they're equipped with things like LiDARs, vision cameras, and they're able to compute and do measurements based off of these type of sensors. And it also allows for path planning. So not only does the AMR have the ability to be more flexible, but it has the ability to plan its own path, making the programming much more simple and easily deployable. This kind of gets a little bit more into some of the deeper technologies of AMRs, things like the PID loop, the controllers, how to be able to automate with these systems, and in the way that you can store data. So there's some companies that are linking these AMRs to their websites, and as people purchase products from their website, the AMR is going and picking it from the storage location to bring to an operator to complete fulfillment. These systems are also equipped with your standard safety systems that you would see within like a robotic type of system, and some higher level safeties as well, just to ensure that this product is a safe product, which is one of the other advantages of AMRs. When you compare an AMR to a fork truck, generally they are a much safer option. So getting into the AMR versus the AGV a little bit, an AMR or an AGV is built and it travels utilizing a track system. So generally you have to cut and grout into the ground some type of magnetic strip. Sometimes you can use paint strips. There's different versions of AGVs on the market where their deployment is different between them. And as you can see, like if you have to do any grouting of your concrete, that is a major implementation. There's a lot of cost there, and it's not very flexible. You're kind of stuck with whatever you have after you engineer and deploy it. With AMRs, you don't really have that same constraint. You can deploy an AMR today, and next week, if you want to use the AMR in another location, then you just simply reprogram it to operate in that different location. And a big part of this is just having the ability to do its path planning. It's utilizing things like SLAM, which is basically the background programming that allows it to do its mapping and computing of its different paths. So going back into how people are connecting this with your websites, these are becoming a big deal with IoT because you know exactly where your AMR is at all times. You can log into its interface at your facility or remotely from your facility as long as you have a VPN portal into the facility. And these things are also getting smarter, right? They're making their paths and their planning based on an AI machine learning type of system. And this is all software. So one of the major benefits to that is it can be upgraded over time. If you look at one of these AMRs that's on the screen now, the exact same AMR that was deployed the day it was deployed is better now due to software updates and just updating the way that it does its planning and all its algorithms. And it's a better system than when it was installed. So for the the battery management systems, depending on your AMRs, they're all different. One of the new things is that you can swap batteries, which is very convenient if ever your AMR dies out in an area where it's not near to a charger. So the pros to an AMR is they work without complications, right? They show up to work every day. They are able to perform their operation, and you don't run into issues with a system going down due to not being serviced by a fork truck. Let's say for instance you have like a robotic palletizing cell. The robot fills up all pallets available, and then the robot just has to stop, and then the whole line stops because there's not somebody there to service the robot. However, when going to an AMR type of system, that is a discrete signal sent to the AMR system to call for the AMR to come. Right, the AMR then makes a calculated decision on picking up that component. And going back into their deployment, they can be very easily deployed. These AMRs can be deployed in like 2 to 4 weeks, and that can be potentially a long lead time. That's including like installing conveyors and having other procurements that go along with it. That's the controls integration, everything. Going into the advantages of AMRs. So it's the increased flexibility. In my opinion, this is one of the best things about AMRs is you're able to redeploy them in different scenarios. We've had customers that we've installed them, and then a few months later they decide that they want to utilize them in a different location. So they call us to be able to deploy that in a different location, and it's also something that doesn't even necessarily require an outside integrator to do these development changes. The system is simple enough. It's a kind of drag and drop type of system that even your end users can redeploy it to different locations. Enhanced workforce safety. A lot of times, you can use these AMRs to keep humans away from more dangerous areas. If there's a dangerous piece of work equipment that the operator has to work around, you can utilize an AMR to relocate the work pieces to a more safe location. And this could be an inherent safety, or it could be more of a ergonomic safety. Improved efficiency and productivity. This is another huge part of it, right? Every company is looking for an ROI. We've deployed multiple of these AMRs at locations, and for one of our customers, we were able to cut their injection molding operators by half. Just by taking an AMR and essentially connecting to injection molding machines. So this customer had 2 injection molding machines right beside each other, 2 operators, long cycle time, 2 minutes roughly, but it just wasn't quite enough cycle time for one operator to walk from one press to another. So what we did is we took the AMR and we took that part, we transported it to press number 1. So the AMR took the part from press number 2, brought it to press number 1, and was able to consolidate that down from 2 to 1 employee. AMRs are being adopted very quickly. In 2021, it was already a $1.61 billion industry, and it's projected to grow to $22.15 billion by 2028, and 23.3%. This is pretty incredible growth, and I think the reason for it is because it's closing a gap in our industry. AMRs and also bin picking is 2 things that I really look at in our industry, where it's closing a gap that was not able to be closed at one point in time, just because it's giving us another tool to be able to automate processes. And you're starting to see them deployed in many different areas, obviously manufacturing, healthcare, infrastructure, warehouse, e-commerce, and retail, agriculture, and you're even seeing these in the food industry as well. We was at a restaurant just the other night, and there was an AMR that brought us our plates. So these AMRs are being deployed everywhere, and finding new cases all throughout the world. Revolutionizing traditional manufacturing with AMRs. Like I said, this gives us a new tool to be able to automate and be able to control the process flow of our materials. Prior to having AMRs, you either had the option of an AGV or a fork truck driver going to the end of the line to pick up parts. You now have a more seamless and a more flexible option to be able to tend these different machines. Let's go with an AGV as an example. You used to have an AGV create a loop, right? And so after it passed station 1 and got to station 2, it had to complete its loop just to go back to station 1. Whereas with an AMR, you're able to be at station 2 and just turn right back around and go to station 1. And as in the example with labor costs, as you can see, this can be very impactful for saving labor costs. This was just on an operating an injection molding machine. You could highly reduce your labor costs with fork truck drivers, even if you don't do full completion. Let's say, for instance, you have an operation where you're unloading, or you're taking a full pallet and you're driving it all the way to the end destination of a semi-truck, right? Maybe the AMR is not the best solution to actually drive up into the semi-truck and drop off the package. However, the AMR can handle the heavy workload and carry it all the way from the finished product area to the loading dock, where then a fork truck driver does the final loading of the product. AMRs can be easily scaled. A lot of these AMR systems work with an AI technology, and they work with a singular hub. So there's one brain that controls all the AMRs on the floor. Now you can deploy this as a single AMR, and the AMR can be in control of its own actions. Or when you start to deploy multiple of these at a time, you get past a couple of them, you have 3, 4, 5 of them. Now you can have the main brain tell what the AMR should be doing. So we can tell it, AMR number 1, I want you to go to line number 2. AMR number 3, I want you to go to line number 1. You can also outfit these with different tools for, let's say, different lines need some different type of conveyor cut module for them. You can program all that initially in the system, and then after that, the AI will make the decision on what AMR should pick up, what product at what place. And this gives you a competitive advantage, because if your competitors are doing everything by fork truck and you have AMRs in your facility, you're able to reduce the number of fork truck drivers that you have by, let's say, even 50%. There's a huge margin in there, and it gives you a competitive advantage to either be more profitable or be able to just have a reduction in cost and even lower the price of the product. So some practical AMR applications utilized in material handling would be something as simple as picking off the end of the line and then taking it to the next location. There's then inventory management, and some of these things can go hand in hand. Assembly assistance. I think this is a very cool and creative way to utilize AMRs. One thing that you can do with an AMR is bring product to a particular location, or you can bring tools such as a robot or a vision system to a product and inspect it. So, let's say, for instance, you have a very big product. You could have the AMR travel down that product and do like a vision inspection. Maybe you have a robot on there as well. So there's a robot holding a camera, and it can do a vision inspection as you're going through, and as the AMR is going through, to be able to detect any defects on this very large part. Warehouse organization. This is a really big one. Amazon, has hundreds of AMRs in their facility that are very similar to these, which is handling pretty much all their fulfillment. Amazon is pretty much a completely automated facility with conveyors, AMRs, and robotics to create or complete all their fulfillment. Packaging and shipping. This kind of goes into it. You can do your palletizing and do your final shipment to collaborative work. This is also very important. You're able to work with these AMRs in a very safe manner. And some of the other products on the market, you have to either cage off or fence in the product, the tool, the robot, whatever it may be, in order to make it a safe work environment. However, these we can work with very collaboratively, and we've even deployed some of these to our customers where you have like an HMI screen. It could be like a standard traditional Allen Bradley HMI, or it could be a tablet, and you can essentially call this AMR to you. So this is a big way we see these being deployed, where essentially an operator will have products called to them. If they run out of part number X, they just press on their HMI, I need more product number X, and then the AMR will bring it. Now, you may automate that process further, and it's an automated process that spits out whatever product X that they need, or it could be another human just a half mile down the plant that's loading it on and then sending it to the operator. However, the AMR is able to get this command and work collaboratively by the simple push of a button. Going with us into maintenance, you see some AMRs that are utilized as cleaners. It's a little bit outside of our sector, but it's definitely something you're starting to see more and more. AMRs and welding. So definitely kind of excited to talk about how AMRs and welding go together. When it comes to welding, especially a lot of your sub parts are performed, the welding process is performed in welding cells, right? There's welding, there's robotic welding with BIW line, which is more of a continuous line welding, and then you have another style of welding where it's more robotic weld cells. And through the robotic weld cells, like one thing that's a challenge there is all the parts that come to you are in a bin. And you have to pick those parts out of a bin and load them directly into the fixture. So this creates an unautomatable process because the ROI is not there to add something like a bin picking system. So you can deploy a satellite system away from your primary loading area that literally does nothing but bin picking and nesting. And then you can outfit that with multiple tools, giving a system an ROI that at one point in time wasn't able to be automated. Also, whenever it comes to robotic weld cells, as I was saying, there's a ton of parts that go into a completed structure, and those parts need to be delivered to an operator. And a lot of times that's being done by some human on a tugger or a fork truck driver, and this is a huge area where automation can have a big impact. So yeah, first some real world examples. I gave you guys the example of the injection molding company where they're transporting parts from one injection molding machine to another. Another use case is doing the palletizing and taking not only empty pallets, stacks of pallets to a robotic cell, but also to take the full stack to another location. And something like this can be done with the same AMR or multiple AMRs, depending on the application. Going back to the example of where Amazon houses thousands of these AMRs to transport everything from the final good to the shelves themselves and navigate their complex layout. If you've ever seen any of the Amazon fulfillment, it's a pretty awesome thing to see. BMW uses AMRs to move parts and materials between different stages of their product lines. These robots optimize the logistics and reduce human labor and enhance overall efficiency. Procter & Gamble, P&G, uses AMRs in their facilities for raw materials and finished products. Future trends. I think we'll start to see a lot more AMRs being deployed in like a collaborative space. As you can see here in this image, where you have a fulfillment individual, filling a bin for final fulfillment, and instead of the human operator having to run around and find all these different parts and scan them in, the AMR is now able to find the product for them, bring the product to them, and they can just load in one station. The Internet of Things. So I talked about before with you're able to link AMRs to your website. This is becoming a huge thing, and I think it's only going to grow. The amount of data tracking we can do with an AMR and be able to track where our product is in the facility, and just collect data, right? That's the big thing. When it comes with the IIoT, it's just a matter of collecting data and being able to utilize that data for future needs. And these AMRs definitely give us the ability to do so. Environmental adaptation. So we'll start to see AMRs perform tasks that are a little bit more outside the manufacturing workspace. As you may have seen, there's quite a few AMRs getting deployed in military, construction, just in a couple different environments that you're seeing AMRs be deployed in now. I think energy efficiency, you'll start to see AMRs that are just better at being more energy efficient, that they'll last longer, they'll be able to charge faster, you'll have different charge solutions to be able to keep the AMRs up and running. It's a common question that's asked from our customers is, how long will this thing need to charge, right? And so the charge times have gotten really good, and they're going to continue to get better in the future. And you get an 80% charge, and enhanced safety features. So these systems are only going to improve in their safeties and their ability to detect safeties. Because most of these things are done through AI. They're done through machine vision. So as these AMRs, run into more complex scenarios, they're going to learn from those scenarios and be able to become a better product. Here are some of the industry leaders in AMRs. Each AMR, it has its ups and downs. Maybe it's better traction control, maybe it's battery life, maybe it's the ability to utilize it with other pieces of equipment, the adaptability of it. Some of these are more so meant to add custom modules to it to be able to deploy to any custom application. AMR is a tugger, so you're starting to see even more tugger style AMRs and fork truck style AMRs, which even that's even newer than just AMR itself. So like, let's say for instance like a mirror, they came out, let's say maybe close to like 10 years ago now, and now some of these tugger style AMRs are coming out, and they've only been on the market really for a couple of years. Going back to some of the different features they have, so this particular AMR has the follow me feature. And this might be a feature that is like the game changer for you and your organization. So what the follow me feature does is you press a button that indicates to the AMR that I want you to follow me. It's able to lock onto you, identify you only, and it won't follow any other person, nor will it get confused by any other person. This may work in an operation where you need to carry some load to another location, and maybe there's some constraint, like you need to make sure it's safely transported. Maybe it's a security thing where you don't allow the product to be left alone, and this gives you the ability to move that product and heavier loads of a product while the AMR follows you. AMR is a palletizer. It's just another application utilizing AMRs and injection molding machines to deliver from operation to operation. Thank you guys for joining in the speech today. And if you have any questions or would like to meet further, you can scan our QR code and reach out to us. Thank you.